Good afternoon. This is the Var Torah on Parshas. It's a double Parsha this year on Parshas Nitzavim Vayeilech. Now, it's one of the last. These two are the first two of the last four Parshas of Sefer Devarim, which is the last book of the Torah. And they do have all these last four portions do have one thing in common. They're all occurred on the day of Moshe Rabbeinu's death, which was Zion Adar, because he lived exactly 127 years. And the question, so going through, the question is, why are these portions often read together? They do have some things in common. And then the last two portions after this are Haizinu, where there's a song that Moshe was told by Hashem to tell the Jewish people, which has both the present, past, and future in it. To warn them, it's usually read, not always, but usually read between Shabbat, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Shabbat Shuvah. And the final one, Zos Brachos, is the one parsha that's not normally read on Shabbat unless Shemini Aseth, Simchas Torah comes out. We complete it in a great day of rejoicing, and then the next Shabbat begin the Torah all over again. Now, the parsha opens with Moshe listing everybody that's there. And also, beyond that, is it says that they're going to seal a new covenant. And the question is, the covenant that they're sealing is going to be sealed with those who are standing with us today, standing with us before Hashem, our God, and with whomever is not with us today. Now, I'm going to go back into that. There's obviously a big question on what does that mean, and then Moshe then goes on and recites the difficulties with idol worship, and says that anybody who does that, Hashem will set him aside from evil from among all the tribes of Israel. Practication of the covenant is in this book of the Torah. Now, a question, I'm going to be explaining that in more detail. What does that mean, and what is the significance to the rest of the parsha? And it then goes into a bit into our history. And he then predicts, says a blessing and curse, and ultimately Hashem will redeem us, which is a very important concept to keep in mind right now. And he says, very importantly, famous lines, for this commandment I command you today, it's not hidden from you and it's not distant. It's not in the heaven for you to say, who can ascend the heavens for us and take for us, so we can listen before him. It's not across the sea. You say, who can come to the other side of the sea and take it for us, so we should listen before him. Rather, the matter is very near you in your heart, mouth and heart to perform it. And then he reiterates how he's presenting both the bracha and the chorus. You follow the commandments, you get the bracha, and if not, the opposite. And then Parshas Vayeilech, he begins with Vayeilech Moshe v'yidaber et devarim ha'eleh l'kol Israel. I'm 120 years, and then he says, B'yom ben mea v'esrim shana anachi hayom lo ochel la'od l'tzetzei and l'vo Adonai ama alai l'tavor et yarden ezer. That you should, I am 120 years old, I can no longer go out and come in. Hashem says to me, you not cross the Jordan. Hashem your God will cross before you. And then he blesses Moshe, Yeshua in front of everybody. And then Hashem appears in front of the Mishkan and says, these future generations are going to forsake me, and tells him there's a song he has to give, but he tells because he said they're rebellious people. And Moshe says to them, before he's going to do what's going to be the song in Haazinu, he says, you're already rebelling and I'm alive. Just how much more so are you going to do after I die? And those are the two parshas. Now, what I would like to address here on this matter, I'd like to address, first of all, why does it, strange wording, in Parashat 13, Lo etchem levatchem aniki koret et a brit zot et a elazot ki an et asher yishno pe imanu omed hayom lifnei Hashem Elokeinu asher eno those that are there and she'eno po imanu hayom, which translates, in order to establish your day as a people, as he spoke to you and he swore to your forefathers Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, not alone with you do I seal this covenant and this warning, but with whoever is here standing with us before Hashem our God, whoever is not before us. And the Sevar Torah is partially based on the words of understanding of the Or HaChaim. I'm also going to bring in some other sources. It was based partially on the teachings of the Leshem, also some other things that I've derived from those, and among other sources. And the Or HaChaim points out that the wording could have been very, very different. What could he have said? He could have said, Moshe, I'm going to give a covenant. You're going to make a covenant with Hashem, those of you here. There's also going to be a covenant with those who aren't here. Why does it use this strange wording? I seal this covenant, this relation with whoever is here standing before us. Again, whoever is not here with us today. Why is it one covenant? And the Or HaChaim explains a very important concept here, that there's three things really going on. The nation as it was in the 40th year, the day Moshe is going to die, they were all accepting this covenant. And there's two other parts to it. One, they're taking it on behalf of all future generations. Now that would seem quite possibly questionable on the least surface understanding. How does one do that since these people are not alive today? And the second question is what I'm going to explore. What does all these neshamas mean? And it's teaching us that there's two other aspects to this. One aspect of it is that we are responsible in each generation for passing on the traditions, passing on the Torah to the next generation. And therefore, we can expect them to make the covenant. And also that those generations will be bound, which is reasonable in light of the fact that they're supposed to be educated and taught it. So that is That is one answer. And I'd like to go a bit supposed to be obligating it's obligating it on everybody. And that's the other explanation. Now, again, who are all these souls that we're talking about? Now, to understand that on a bit of a deeper level, when Adam and Chava were created, the first people, the original plan for the world is that only good, positive beings were going to be created. Evil would be eradicated from the world. And if Adam and Chava hadn't, at the last minute, literally before the first Shabbat, eaten from that fruit, there wouldn't have been a problem. I'll be speaking more about this when we get to Sefer Bereshit. But there's another issue here that, as I said, all the neshamas that were ever going to be were contained within Adam Rishon. And if there hadn't been the chait, hadn't been the eating of the fruit, what would have happened is there would only be good neshamas descending. Once Adam Rishon committed that, a lot of the neshamas fell into the complete quote, which means spiritual impurity, into the hands of the Yetzer Hara, the poison created by the snake, that's tricked Chava and Adam, and therefore there are people that are good and there are people that are evil. Now, we as a people, and this is a very important concept, especially as we come into Yom Narayim, the holy day, high holy days, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, is that we are all responsible one for the other. And that applies not only to this generation, it applies to future generations, and our behavior and our decisions can even impact on previous generations. That's a discussion for another time, another Devar Torah. In any event, we are all responsible for one another. And unlike the other nations, we are a unity. We are a single entity. This is the Orach Chaim Kodesh explains later with regards to the pasuk when it says it's one, what will happen. It's if somebody does worship idols, says Hashem will. This is pasuk 19, pasuk 20. Hashem won't forgive them, and they will be. His name will be totally erased from the heavens. And he'll set aside evil, so it won't affect the people. Now, how does that make sense? What's the deeper meaning? It means that we won't. That because we are responsible for one another, okay, but we're exercising and we're getting rid of them already. So what is it? We have to understand that as all the children of Israel have the same root, it says in Yeshaya, regarding Jewish people, the shooting my plan things, all it's referred to as a single shoot. There's other midrashim as he explains to bring it. Then when it says all the soul coming with Yaakov to Egypt, in time we went down into exile in Egypt, the soul is in a singular. We know there were 70 souls, so why is it singular? To explain that we all come from one root. And why does he have to want to do this? That this portion of evil will not gain control over the person, has to be removed. And he'll have to separate him so it won't influence the rest of Bnei Israel. And he also brings down that each one of our names, that each it's taught that each child, when he's born, the parents are inspired to give by Ruach HaKodesh Hashem, gives them to give him the name that fits the person. Now that's on one level, it means what characteristics, what behavior he'll have. But on a deeper level, it's explaining that whatever name he gives, that's the name of his neshama before he got born and went into a body. And therefore, on a higher level, we are a unity there. And this is why this evil influence has to be removed. Now, a question that could be raised here is, why are where did all these neshamas start with? As I said, they started with Adam Rishon. The Jewish people got a 600,000 part neshama. Each Halak's portion has a male aspect and a female aspect. Question there is, well, there's more than 600,000 men and women, Jewish men and women. These parts can be split. Different halak can be split into subsections. But in any event, we are all from there, and that's why Hashem is protecting us. And we're the ones who are ultimately going to bring through us the world is going to come eventually to peace and the ultimate redemption. Now, in Nitzavim, in Parashat Vayeilech, it comes up with a interesting wording. What does it mean that he cannot go in and come out any longer? Moshe Rabbeinu. One level can be understood literally that even though we have full koach, Hashem said this is the date you're leaving because you can't cross into Eretz Canaan, can't cross the Jordan. I've explained that why in other Devar Torahs and other Parashiot. In any event, what happens then? At another level, it means that he was no longer able to teach. He was no longer getting divine insights. That's what it meant. He can't go in and come out. And because he can't go in and come out, it's talking about on prophecy and teaching of Torah. Now, Moshe Rabbeinu, it's taught, is the Shorish, is Sorish, root soul of the entire Jewish people. That's how it manifested when it got to the generation of Moshe. And that also ties in very nicely with this concept of us being one people and how we could then, Nitzavim, how we can tie all the generations together. And that's a question if he's the Shorish Neshama, the soul with Neshama. So what happens in future generations? There's a number of explanations. One of them that is given is that Moshe Rabbeinu, in some format, Gilgul of him is concealed Gilgul reincarnation in every generation. And what should we take from all this is how important our unity is, despite our differences, how we are all united, we are all one. And if we work together, we can strengthen each other so that hopefully we will get a good judgment on Rosh Hashanah, not only individually, but collectively as a people. And that will be confirmed on Yom Kippur. And may we have a year where we'll go back to peace, the end of this war, and Be'ezrat Hashem, with God's help, the ultimate redemption. Good Shabbos and Shabbat Shalom.